So it's 6 p.m. sharp UTC. So we can start working on this content on the learning battle cards used in the context of action mapping. So just to give you a brief context, if you have never used learning battle cards, is a set of 110 cards which are, as it says, an eye opener and a mind flexor for educators, for people who are from learning and development area, people who are dealing with daily challenges on how to address some of the learning, how to reach learning goals, how to address learning challenges, how to support businesses going very commonly through different transformations, how to support them with the learning methods. And what I would like to talk today is, of course, we'll be using our version of interactive learning battle cards in Miro, and what I would like what I would like to do now is to draw a little bit of context on why we are talking about action mapping and why we are talking about this particular method. First of all, action mapping is an instructional design method. And just to draw the context, the instructional design is a job, is a role, which is very much needed for delivering learning experiences, especially learning experience where we would like to achieve some measurable goals and where we would like to change behaviors, where I would like to have implementation tasks, not only acquiring knowledge, not only watching PowerPoints, but it's really being uh, having a possibility to draw attention to the job transfer, to transferring what we teach to a practical business activities. So, as people used to say, is just to walk the talk. And I would like to show you how the thing may operate. So, if you would like to learn more and learn more about the details of action mapping, I would like to refer you to the original book. That is called Map It, the hands-on guide to strategic training design, written by Kathy Moore. Unfortunately, and I think it's unfortunately for the whole instructional design world, Kathy Moore is retired and is not planning to get back to have like a second edition or additional workshop. She keeps her page alive and the book available. But unfortunately, I was in touch with her like a half a year ago, and she happily retired. And I wish all the best to her, but unfortunately there will be no this thing will not be continued. So I will show you a slightly the version that I slightly tuned up from the basic action mapping that I used, and I think that it may be helpful. But why we talk action mapping? Why I think this method is really something that changes the game with when talking about instructional design. First of all, it is um, it is a streamlined process. It is a framework um, that is helping a business world and learning world work together, and it helps us in three areas. First of all, it helps us to commit to measurably improving the performance of the business, and this is really important. Is that using this method can bind what's needed by the business reality and what can be delivered by the training or learning organizations. The second thing is that the method is helping us to identify the best solution to the performance problem. And the last one is when training is necessary to create realistic practice activities and not information presentations, right? So the very important here is the last sentence that is written here that I would like to deconstruct a bit. Because what it says, when training is necessary, this first part of a sentence is a clue of action mapping. And sometimes people who just read the book and they may seem to skip this part. But this is the first step that we just need to be aware as learning folks that training may not be necessary. Training may not be the solution. And sometimes we just need to be brave and bold enough to step back and to say, you know what? Training is not a solution here. Learning method is not a solution. We need to change the process first. We need to work on the software first before we will start teaching people how to use it. Because what I've experienced so far is that sometimes it's how it's nicely called a pig with a lipstick. So the software is not good enough. So let's train people on how to use a software that is full of bugs to avoid the bugs, right? Or the process or procedure is not good enough, so we try to teach people on how to overcome the difficulties the procedure implies on them, right? So the first thing is when training is necessary. So we need to be brave enough to say like, okay, this training will be needed, but first you need to fix the software, the process, the interface of the application, the web page, etc. Then the next thing is to create realistic practice activities, not information presentations. And what I mean by that, I think everyone has seen the e-learning that looks like this. That we open it and welcome to the course about, then put whatever name of a topic, and then the history of this particular topic started in 1950s, and please click next if you are comfortable to continue, right? We are all used to this type of trainings where the only thing you have to do is to click next. You don't, maybe sometimes there are some interactions because someone ordered few interactions on the purchase order, but then they are somewhere in the course, they doesn't play a lot of sense, right? So when I try to teach about action mapping, I would like to say is like, imagine that this would be something that is to engage you, right? Come on, even if this will be very interesting topic, you will be most probably bored to death with just PowerPoint version of the training. So what I would like to say is like, this is not how the games are built, right? When I would like to start playing a game, if the game will start telling me, oh, the dragons, and let's imagine that this is about game about slaying the dragons. So then you start with a history that the first dragon appears, blah, 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 and then click next and next and next. This will be utterly boring, right? So no one would like to play the game. In reality, what happens, there is an activity, right? You start the game, you find a fork on the table, and there is a nice or not nice, maybe a nasty little dragon that you need to throw out of your home, right? So look what's the difference. Here, when we talk about the story, we dump the information because we have a really smart subject matter experts with huge of experience, tons of documents, hundreds of pages of PowerPoint. So we want to dump all of this great knowledge onto our audience. Will it keep them engaged? I don't think so. So what action mapping is telling us is that we can change the approach. We can change the approach to have the version which will be interactive and will be focused on the real practice of doing stuff, on practicing stuff. In many cases, on failing, right? On having an environment in which we will be able to fail and learn from feedback, but for sure it's not focused on information dump. So why we want to do this? Why and how? First of all, we want to have people, we want to generate the change. We want to initiate. We want to initiate the real change in the business. We want to initiate the real shift in people's behaviors. Not only deliver them the knowledge or information, but change the behaviors, change the way they think, change the way how they do stuff. And the recipe is really simple. Set a goal, choose a goal from the one you have defined maybe earlier. Identify behaviors that will contribute to achieving the goal. Design exercises and determine, and this is a critical thing, determine the minimum amount of information needed to perform the exercise. So just a small thing about how to use the fork to slay the dragon, right? Just this minimum information that you will just need to use. So now we will jump to Miro and we will take a look at how the things can be done in real life. So what I usually do, I will just show you. This is one of the exercises that I performed during the design training, and this is how people are working on action mapping. But um, I don't want to talk you through this part. I would rather have an interactive version with you. So let me just share the link with you, and we will just take a look at this example. Let me just open the chat window. Just give me a second. And in a chat window, you will find a link to exactly this Miro bot. You don't have to log in. It will just let you in as a guest. So please click the link so that we can look at this. You can zoom out. If you press Control or Command and scroll your mouse, you will zoom out or you will zoom in. And we will focus on this chart here at the bottom. Okay, I see the first person here. Let me just move this recipe so that we see it here. Okay, so what we usually do, I think if you'll be able to join us, just let us know. I see just one person joining here, but let me walk you through how this method works in practice because I would say, it's brilliant in its simplicity, right? As well. So it's easy to use it, it's easy to manage it. So let's say that we are asked to address the goal that is reducing the likelihood of bullying behaviors occurring within an organization. It's pretty common that this anti-mobbing, anti-bullying trainings are designed or delivered, right? And I would say this is something that's really important for the organization to make sure that those kind of trainings are done properly. So the first step is to define this goal, right? And reducing the likelihood is something that maybe we'll be able to measure in a way, right? This is something that can be that can be observed or measured at least on a qualitative way. So the first thing and the first icon uh, is this, arrow and the bullseye here to set a goal, to set a target. Choose a goal from your defined later, let it be this. Then what we do, we say we need to identify behaviors that will contribute to achieving the goals. So I don't want to have a brainstorming session on what those can be at the moment. So that is why I just prepared some of them here. So I just started with, if we want to reduce the likelihood of bullying behaviors, the first important thing is, I deleted the wrong one. Just need to clean it up a bit. That employees in my organization, they will need to be able to recognize bullying behavior, right? So the first thing, they need to, of course, learn what the bullying is and what the bullying is not, but the activity that will contribute to the goal from my perspective, the very important activity is they need to recognize bullying behaviors. The next thing is, after they will do it, I would say they we may want to ask them to respond informally, right? So if there will be someone bullying one another, then what we want to do is employ all of our employees to react, right? We want to have a person who will respond informally, who will just be brave and bold enough to get up and say, come on, stop. Then what we want to do in this scenario is that our employees, so they respond formally to bullying behavior. So what does it mean that they respond formally? That they are able to find a website where they will go, they will find specific documents, they will find specific reports, which can be filled in properly and submitted, most preferably anonymously, and then someone will assess the evidence. So if we want to say someone will assess the evidence, we also see that there was maybe another target group for managers who will correctly assess the evidence. Right? So this is all together, maybe, of course, this may not be complete. This is just to show you this example. All of a sudden, we see that there are some specific actions, real life actions, right? Which are contributing to the goal. So we are not talking PowerPoint, we are not talking slides, we are not talking interactions, quizzes, nothing like this at this stage, right? We are just thinking on what are behaviors, what are the things to do to contribute to achieve the goal, right? Okay, so how many people? I see just one person. Anyone else? If you just click the link, please click and join me here. So we'll be editing a bit.
Maybe please let us know if you have problems with that.
Yeah. If there are any challenges with joining, just let us know. Okay. So let's start a discussion. If now the third step is to design an exercise. So we will just take this icon, design an exercise that will positively influence the behavior, right? So let's try to do this. So what may be an exercise? And let's say that this may be an e-learning, maybe online version of this training. What kind of exercise would you suggest for employees to recognize bullying behaviors? Right? What you may want to unmute yourself and just share your perspective. You may want to put it in the chat window. Just let us know what would be what can be the behavior. What can be the exercise? What can be the design exercise to test it? Right? Okay. Hi, Adam. Thank you for joining us. So I will try to just guide you through this. So if I'm to think on this particular behavior, if employees are to recognize bullying behaviors or just have a series of this, I think I would use examples of bullying and not bullying. Right? So what can be the I will just need to find like, okay, examples of bullying and not bullying. Okay, I get it. So if this is to be an exercise, the examples is not an exercise itself. So I would say I want each and every learner to identify if particular behavior is bullying, right? So if I want to do this, then how this can be done? I would say we'll just need to start thinking on what are the different methods? What are the different learning methods that can be used to have this exercise, right? And of course, I can jump to our favorite learning battle cards, right? And I can start looking on searching through the parameters that will be about this, right? So what I want to do is, let's say I want to develop some skills, and maybe I would like to have some implementation. Maybe I will have an app, maybe augmented reality. So let me just put this augmented reality. I would say this may be really cool version, right? That I will just point out my phone to an office environment, and there will be two people playing out this scene. But that's okay. Okay, so what I can do more? Of course, this can be a demonstration. Whatever environment I will prepare, I can use it, right? What else? The feedback, of course, this is something that resonates here with me, right? Then what I can do, online workshops, peer review, let's playability. That's something that may play here. I would say, and I'm just what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to define how this exercise will work. I'm just selecting I'm just selecting the cards that may resonate with the topic, right? I'm just not closing myself to like, okay, I will not do this, I will not do that. I'm just thinking like, okay, if the role play, okay, it may work here. This is a bit like a brainstorming, right? There is no right or wrong. I'm not questioning if this is right or if this is wrong. I'm just trying to select it, right? Um, Maybe this will be nice to have an animation here or a video. I will just put maybe a movie or interview. And out of a sudden, look at this. What's going on here? It's like it's really, I would say, eye-opening that we can really use so many different methods. Like look at this. If I can have an interview, right? Let's look at about this situation. If I will use an interview, I can have a series of interviews, right? And I know that this interview here is analysis tool, but interview just connect with me to connect with me. If I how can I do this, right? I would say I can have interviews with actors talking about their bullying behaviors, or as an attacker, or maybe as a victim. And some of them will be bullying, and some of them will not be bullying, right? And look at this. If we just have this approach, now we have one solution. I will have like few actors saying, okay, it's a bullying, it's not bullying, and let's say I will have two buttons, bullying or not bullying. So my exercise will be pretty simple, right? It will just ask me to identify bullying or not bullying, and after this, I will be given a feedback about this particular scene, right? If I did right, I will be giving feedback. But this is just one of the methods that I selected from here. Look at this. I just have a group of the things here. I have a role play, I have an animation, I have a movie, a simulation. So using the learning battle cards here, this may be okay, a simulated situation, like a big branching scenario that will walk you through this, right? And look at easy how easy it is to quickly design this. It just took me 3 minutes where I can say, okay, there will be interviews with actors. That's great. So then there will be a decision making on bullying or not bullying, and whatever I will select, if this will be a right answer or let's say wrong answer, I will be given a proper feedback on my decision, right? So if that's a case here, then look where it gets us. It gets us to the point number 4 that we need to provide the minimum amount of information needed to perform an exercise, right? So this minimum information is something that I will just put in here because the minimum information required may be this feedback. So this feedback about if this particular situation that is described in an interview is bullying or not, then it is enough for us to have a learning experience. Because what will happen if we will do wrong? Nothing, right? We'll just make a wrong decision. And making a wrong decision will just give us feedback, right? And we'll be able to replay some of the scenes. We'll be able to have a version that will highlight particular red flags in the video, which will be focused on the fact that particular situation is bullying or is not bullying, right? When we jump here, the next thing, and I will say, I just don't want to drop those things that we did here. Let's be a bit more let's be a bit more creative. What we can do if money and time is not the limit, right? I would say augmented reality and role play with this playability, putting me in as a first person or as a bystander with augmented reality. This may be a really cool situation. If we add to this the role play and simulation, look at this. We are now building a really complex exercise, right? Out of this group. Let me just get rid of the rest here. Let me just get rid of this. We are building additional exercise here. So additional exercise that will focus on this. I have a ton of money. So I will create an AR app, which will give me exactly this playability and augmented reality situation, right? So I would imagine that how cool it may be. Like you get a small QR codes, you put them on your desks, you point out the phone or a tablet, and then out of a sudden you see in augmented reality people and a bullying situation in this particular context. That's really something that, if you just open your mind, this may be a really cool thing, especially that, VR and AR are here with us. And as you can see here, this minimum amount of information, just, collecting this, this may be again, the feedback here, right? So when you see here, it's like, I just get really excited with just playing with this because it starts to get a nice shape. And look what's happening then. And when you work on this a bit more, let me just clean it up here. When you work on this a bit more, it's seen that, this particular area here may be a one module of your training, right? This may be a module one of your training. So what
If I
happens?
can add something,
Sure, please
Piotr, is
do.
that this is a perfect example that you don't have to put all the knowledge in the style that you define something, because you can put this knowledge within this game. So if someone wants, it can decide by himself. But if he wants, he can read, for example, hints where the definition of bullying will be explained. Or
Yeah.
it can, in every situation, after choosing, there can be shown the, let's say, particular indicates and things which make this situation bullying or not bullying. So it is also that example that we don't have to put any definition before the game because it can be a part of the game.
Yeah. So also this definition may be a context layer. This may be a support layer. This may be something that is not straightforward, right? This is something that maybe, let me just put it in a nicer way here. Okay. So if we need a definition, but then I would question it again, right? Do we need those definitions, right? Why do we need those definitions? Do we need to? Our goal is here is not that employees know the definition by heart, right? The goal here is that they are to recognize bullying behavior, right? So I would say knowing the definition is not our goal here as well, right? So that's why I would say we may want to decide that we need them, right? At some point in a consulting process, maybe someone will tell us like, okay, we need this definition, we need to add it here. That's important from, I don't know, legal perspective, for example, right? We need from the legal perspective, we need to add this. We need to add maybe a legal statement also there. Why, or based on which act it's this bullying it's based. But look what happens when we get into this training, right? If we'll just get in this training, then how to tell a story about this, how it helps you tell the story is that you enter a training, you turn it on, and it like you start, and then out of a sudden, there is an interview with a person who most probably has been a bullying attacker, maybe suffered some psychological challenges and was a bullying attacker, right? And this may put you in a position of a first person interviewer, and you start to listen and it grabs your attention, right? And then you're pulled even more because it's like, so how would you define it? Was it bullying or wasn't it bullying? Right? So then you do this, and then the story goes because then you see not only the bullying person perspective, but you see not only the attacker person perspective, but you see the victim's perspective and maybe also a manager's perspective. So with all of those contexts, first of all, it pulls you in. You can use all of the cliffhangers like in a Netflix movie. You can give some promises. You can tell people that it will be more interactive, or you can just show that it is interactive. Adam, you just need to scroll up, and I think you will see it, or maybe I will just paste it again. There you have it. So I would say that this helps you also tell the story about your training, right? It's not only to say, okay, this is how I want to design this, but this is helping you when you will be presenting your design. This will help you tell a better story about your design, right? Okay, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments about what we are discussing here? And first of all, if you are lost with, my excitement around the method and how to use it, just tell me, because I know I can just quickly rush through this and it may be too fast. Just let me know. Anna, Bartosz, Paulina, anything from your perspective? Adam? Anything you'd like to ask about, anything you'd like to comment, just let me know. If not, then we'll just move forward. That's all good. Then let's take a look at the very interesting part, which is like, because they respond formally to bullying behaviors, informally. This is something that we can just base in this. But what is a difficult, I would say, part here is we have a behavior or activity that is about managers correctly assessing the evidence. So imagine the situation. We are implementing this program in a company. Out of a sudden, managers can get to their mailboxes very specifically formatted documents that will be a result of employees raising a request about potential bullying behaviors, right? So I would say if we are to define a set of exercises, right? Because they are to correctly assess the evidence, right? So how to do this? How do you think? First of all, when I think of this approach is, okay, this will be really um, going from just doing stuff into or just learning stuff into an implementation. So look at this. If you just have a filter here in learning battle cards, and if you have a physical version, you also have a part here that is called implementation. So this is about how you will implement particular things, how you will deliver them how you will transfer them from your training to a real life, right? So let's see what can it be. I would like to challenge you with the first one. I would say the very important part here will be an algorithm. Because I think of this as a manager, I think of this like this. I receive an email saying that, okay, in our anti-bullying program, there is an evidence submitted by your direct report, right? So I need to know what is the process, what is the recommended process, how should I perform this activity, right? So I would say, okay, I will need an algorithm. because then, the bullying is this, the bullying is not, but looking at the evidence, it's like I will say, first assess if the request is complete, if the request has got all the formal requirements, if it is really in categories of bullying, then do this, then do that, then consult with, I don't know, consult it with HR business partner, maybe go and consult with business representatives, right? And this can be a series of things, but let's not close it, right? I would say what can help me? An article, that's not rather an exercise. Artificial intelligence, oh yeah, of course, artificial intelligence can, but I don't want to use it in this very serious situation. But what can I do here? I can do the benchmarking, I can do the blog, the board. Let me just quickly go through this. Okay, for sure a case study showing me other examples of what it is. This can help me. Let me zoom it in. This can help me, right, to design this question. What else? A chat. Yeah, sure. So that I have a support with someone who is really an expert in this area. Of course, this will help me. A checklist. Sure. Uh, it's more than helpful with going through the documents that will be useful. I would even put it higher. So the checklist and algorithms, I think those are the really good tools for me, especially when I will be doing it for the first time. Coaching, sure. This may be a nice method, the nice service that I will be having as a manager, a coaching on how to deal with this stuff. I would say that's really good approach. And let's say maybe demonstration on how some of the cases can be handled, right? This may go really well with an algorithm and the checklist, right? And this is how we can continue, right? We can just pre-filter what are the learning methods here that are to be used, and we can really do it in a way that it will be good for us, and I would say that may be a really helpful for us. And of course, I would add the implementation task here. But we just selected the methods. Let's see. Let us think on how it can be. What can be the reality? And once again, this is how my brain works. So I would do it in a way that there is a short image of an Outlook, and you receive an email with this particular attachment. And now all of a sudden, you have 3 or 4 different cases where you have a real Word files, like, or a real emails with well or not well described uh, bullying cases, right? And you go case by case. So you go through a case studies, right? You go case by case. You use the algorithm and the checklist in order to make a decision on what to do next. And this can be a series of scenarios, right? A series of decisions. Because, of course, in your particular organization, this is something that maybe really, uh, it needs to be well designed. The manager can't have any doubts what to do next, right? Even if those will be a difficult situation, they need to know where's the legal who's supporting it, where's the HR who's supporting it, and what to do in this particular situation, right? So, but as you can see, with having the library of methods here and having this framework, it's making it really easy for everyone to quickly design a pretty nice learning experiences, right? Because if I say that, okay, this is a module for managers, this is a module, I would say 1, 2, 3. This will be a module 3 of the training, or module 4, or module for managers only. So that we can have 2 versions, one with 3 modules for this will be, of course, we can continue to design this, but you know what's how the framework works and how it operates. And so I would say it's pretty easy to understand how the learning battle cards, how this library of the methods can be used for really quickly designing a great experiences. Okay, so I would like to tell you about two more things, but now let's make a pause. I'll just take a sip of water, and you just if you have any questions, just I think this will be a right moment to ask them. So please use a chat or unmute yourself. If you have any comments, any questions, just let me know. If not, then we'll be proceeding. Okay, I can't see any. So two things that or the one thing that I would like to highlight to you with what I prepared here is as not everyone is used to work on this a little bit chaotic mind mapping thing, right? Because if you are used to mind maps, then okay, it's fine. You just find the connections that's all okay. But if you're not very keen on using this, what I prepared is a map that is rather based on a very similar on very simple way of doing like okay, you put a business goal around here. So this is the one I said like a modified Cathy Moore approach. We put what people need to do here on this second thing, right? On the second circle, and it's more I just heard a feedback that it's that it was nicer because it's more cleaned up, right? And you can always refer to the instruction on the first circle, second, third, fourth, etc. So but it works exactly the same, right? So but I was told that this approach may be easier. To me, okay, that's the same level of difficulty, but you know, this is something that I just working with some of other teams. I said like, okay, if you like it more, then I'm I'm okay with this. What I would like to show you is that sometimes when we talk about this behavior, sometimes one exercise can fit two or more behaviors. It doesn't have there is not there is not even any there's not any limit that is showing you that okay, one activity needs to be connected to one behavior or goals, etc., etc. There is no such a case. What I would like to highlight is that whatever way you will just pick, if this will be a mind map or more structured way, uh, the tool itself, the framework itself is really interesting being boosted by learning battle cards. I would say it's like action mapping on steroids. So it's really faster to do it. Look what we were able to do. Me explaining you this, of course, I know the case, but look what's going on. It's like 45 minutes, and we have a high level design of a training. And I will just tell you, this was what I did with the other group. This is how they look how they design it, right? I just want to refer to this, right? What is the problem? Why this behavior is not present or present? Uh, they just decided this, and look at this. It's like mild response, harsh response, response formally, video on how to do it, and link to perform the action. I really like this, right? I want to have your more interactions, but okay, I know there some of you maybe the first time here that we are asking to, you know, be at the blackboard, you know, come to the front. That may be stressful. So, but you know, I hope that for the during the next sessions you will be more, we'll have more interactions. But look at this: it's scenario and fictive report, true false selection in scenarios. Pick a video with mild, harsh example of bullying behaviors. Then we had a set of videos where you need to decide if this was bullying or not. Very similar, right? Here, look at this. Managers correctly assess the evidence. And this is really interesting. This is the second part that I wanted to show you. How the other group did is that they wanted to say that there will be a document just highlighting what are the formal requirements to uh, assess the evidence. And based on the formal requirements, the manager will have to decide which is good enough and which is not. Right. And I really like this because sometimes we don't know what to do with like policies in the organization. There is a policy about XYZ, right? Uh, and we don't know. It's like, oh, people don't read policies. Okay, I do understand them why they don't want to read because I do have a driving license since I was, I think, 17. But I'm not reading through all the legal documents about driving, right? Maybe I should, right? But the differences between what I should do and what I do, comparing to hours spent driving versus hours spent reading the legal documents about driving, all the like all the legal regulations, that's a different thing, right? But what I like here is managers will, you know, put a cross or tick if this is enough or this is not enough, just with the formal requirements which are coming from the company, right? Okay. This is all from my perspective on this particular exercise. I would like to, before we will have a time for some questions, what I would like to do is to remind you this that what action mapping is helping us is to get out of PowerPointy trainings, boring sessions, to something that is really interactive and rather generates an engagement and maybe a pleasurable fun, um, and is really driving us to get a real results. So we do this by setting up the goals, identifying behaviors that are contributing to achieving the goals, designing exercises, and once again, and I love this, is to determine the minimum amount of information needed to perform the exercise. Nothing more, not the whole book, maybe one paragraph that will help for this particular exercise. Okay, that's it from my perspective. What I would like to do now is to have two things. And I know that in the background you are preparing difficult questions for me to ask. Um, we will have on October 16th, we have the live workshop in Warsaw. So, Slavik, if you can just please paste a link to the chat window about it, I would appreciate this. And this is
Yes.
about designing, engaging, and effective learning experiences. This is a 1 day live training with a nice certificate as a result of a training, and as I assume, a pack of learning battle cards is included for every user. So you can get a by participating, you can get a physical box. So just sign up today. I would strongly recommend to do this. And the next thing is that on October 29th, the same time in 1 month, I will have a pleasure to have a very similar session for all of you on level up your training needs analysis. So we will focus on how to approach learning needs analysis. Hopefully, I will not be under the weather again in a month time. But what we will do is I will walk you through the methods I use for learning needs analysis, on how to deal with a formal process, how to formalize maybe a bit, how to structure the process so that it will work better for you and will drive better learning results.